I've been sent some advice by the Australian National Imams Council. It's very interesting. No one in this country represents more Muslim groups than these guys, more than 300 imams and Islamic organisations. And this advice they've sent me, and I'm sure sent other journalists too, is to supposedly help me in my commentary with October 7 coming up on Monday. And that's the day, of course, a year ago that this war in the Middle East started. That's the day when Hamas terrorists in Gaza invaded Israel and slaughtered 1,200 Jews, most of them civilians, going from house to house, shooting them, burning. I went to one of the kibbutzes they hit and to the field where people at a music festival were hunted down, young kids. And then there were the rapes, the beheadings, the kidnapping of 251 people. But back to the Imam Council's advice on how I should cover this very sensitive day. Oh, very kind of them. Mind you, I did think that I would read here that they want me to say that, you know, these imams and these Muslim groups, they want me to say that they are devastated by that mass murder of the innocent. I thought they might say, look, could you please tell your viewers that no true Muslim would murder children like that, would throw grenades at unarmed teenagers at a music festival, would kidnap even babies? But reading this, I don't see a single mention at all of any sympathy for the dead of October 7. In fact, when I go through all the Council's media releases on its website, I see not one expressing pity or horror. Instead, the very first press release the Imams Council issued after October 7, the very day after, was actually headed, "The Imams Council supports the Palestinian people's right for self-determination and opposes the unjust and unlawful occupation of them." It read almost like the Imams supported the October 7 attack, or at least wouldn't condemn it. And indeed, here is how the Islamic Council of Victoria early this year talked about that horror.
We denounce any violence and killing of civilians. What we don't denounce very clearly is legitimate act of resistance. And for the Palestinians to rise up on October 7th and say, we're no longer going to tolerate this siege, this occupation, that's legitimate.
So that terror attack was actually a rising up. But are we actually surprised now when we see Sydney mosques, for instance, packed with mourners for the head of the Hezbollah terrorist group, who was assassinated last Friday by Israel? So what advice do these imams give me? Well, I see that I've already made a mistake tonight, just a minute ago, when I said that this latest war started on October 7th, since there hadn't, that's what I thought, because there hadn't actually been a war for months, even years before that day. It was Hamas that sort of ended all that. Well, it seems the imams actually want me to say to you the context, that this comes after 77 years of history between the Palestinians and Israel, as if, I don't know, maybe that somehow explains or excuses suddenly Hamas terrorists raping and murdering and shooting kids at a music festival. That's all to be explained as the context. Jews having their heads hacked off, right? One teenage girl having a broken body driven through Gaza with Palestinians hitting and spitting at it in scenes so vile I can't show them on TV. And the imams also want it noted that in the year since October 7, they're victims. They are victims of Islamophobia. Though again, to be honest, I do think the Jews here have had a lot more reason to be terrified. I mean, just last week, there were protesters in Melbourne streets shouting in Arabic the Kaiba Kaiba Ya Yahud chant, which is made popular by Hamas. That threat that the army of Muhammad is going to come for every Jew, every Yahud. Khaybar, Khaybar, ya Yahud! Khaybar, Khaybar, ya Yahud! Shaykh Muhammad sawfa ya'ud! And really, with scenes like that, and we've seen a fair bit of stuff on our streets, with so many Muslim groups even refusing to condemn the October 7 horror, can it be surprised that there is this Islamophobia, which properly translated is a fear of Islam? And so to the Imams Council, I would say this: some humanity, some expression of pity in your advice, pity for the victims, that would have done the image of Islam in this country so much more good.